Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Iran and the US to resume nuclear talks on Thursday in Geneva, despite a huge American military build-up in West Asia. India issues fresh advisory urging its citizens to leave Iran by all available means as Tehran and US tensions soar. Mexico fears more violence after the death of drug lord El Mencho. India, US, Canada issue travel warnings amid reports of violence across the country. With US tariff rates up in the air, the economic fog thickens again. EU says it will accept no increase in US tariffs, reiterates a deal is a deal. Nuclear negotiations between the United States of America and Iran are at a critical juncture in Geneva, characterized by a high-stakes deadline diplomacy. While both sides have reported progress on guiding principles, a massive US military build-up and a 10 to 15-day ultimatum from President Trump have pushed West Asia to the brink of a conflict. Meanwhile, Iran on Monday once again warned that any US attack would trigger a ferocious response, after Trump said that he was considering limited strikes if no deal is reached in the upcoming negotiations.
A new round of negotiations is scheduled for Thursday, February 26th in Geneva. Oman, acting as the primary mediator, described this as a positive push to go the extra mile towards a final deal. Iran has signaled willingness to dilute its uranium stockpile in exchange for sanctions relief. However, significant gaps remain. The US demands zero enrichment inside Iran, while Tehran insists on its right to peaceful enrichment and a clear timetable for lifting sanctions. Hours before Oman's announcement, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that Tehran was ready to put in place a full monitoring mechanism to guarantee the peaceful nature of its nuclear program and ease tensions. Tehran is preparing a formal draft counter-proposal to be handed over to US envoy Steve Witkoff within days.
There is no other option but to negotiate. This is what I told to the American team a couple of days ago. Their presence at the negotiating table is with the same logic because they have tried other ways. And negotiation will only come to fruition when the rights of the Iranian people are acknowledged and respected, and we can exercise our rights. We do not want recognition of our rights. Our rights are official and exist. We want our rights to be respected.
President Trump has issued a public ultimatum stating that if a meaningful deal is not reached within roughly 10 to 15 days, he will consider limited military strikes.
Well, we're going to make a deal or we're going to get a deal one way or the other. We're either going to get a deal or it's going to be unfortunate for them. I would think that would be enough time, 10, 15 days, pretty much maximum.
The US has significantly bolstered its presence in West Asia. The USS Gerald R. Ford and USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike groups are positioned to launch strikes deep into the Iranian territory. Dozens of F-15 strike aircraft have been deployed to Jordan, and B-2 stealth bombers are reportedly on standby. Iran has warned that any US aggression will spark a regional war. It is reportedly fortifying its military sites, testing new naval air defense systems like the Sayyad 3G, and has issued contingency succession plans in case of leadership strikes. The South Korean government has issued an urgent travel advisory, urging all its citizens in Iran to leave the country immediately. Other countries, including the United States, have also issued similar warnings, advising their citizens to leave Iran without delay. Anamika Pandey's report, DD India.
So similarly, India has also asked all its citizens currently in Iran to leave the country by all available means of transport in a fresh advisory issued on Monday. The advisory comes amid looming fear of conflict in West Asia and growing tensions between Tehran and Washington. According to the Indian Embassy in Tehran, the fresh advisory was issued in view of the evolving situation in Iran and is in continuation to the similar advisory issued earlier this year on January 5th. The Indian Embassy in Tehran requested all Indian nationals in Iran to keep their immigration and travel documents readily available. On to South America now. The Mexican army announced on Sunday that it had killed powerful drug kingpin El Mencho Osiguera in an operation that sparked a wave of violence in various parts of the country. The violence marks a dramatic turning point in the fight against the powerful Jalisco New Generation cartel and the wider battle against transnational drug trafficking. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum urged citizens to remain calm. Meanwhile, India, the United States and Canada urged citizens in parts of Mexico to shelter in place amid the reports of chaos.
Smoke, flames and fear gripped several cities in Mexico as cartel violence erupted. In the resort city of Puerto Vallarta, vehicles burned and dark plumes rose into the sky as the nation was brought to a standstill by drug cartels. The reason? Cartel leader Nemesio Osigera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, died after being critically injured in clashes with security forces. Highways were blockaded, businesses torched, and panic spread as unrest reached areas near Guadalajara International Airport, bringing parts of the nation to a standstill. El Mencho led the feared Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, a powerful transnational criminal network. The cartel launched coordinated attacks across 8 Mexican states, torching vehicles, erecting roadblocks, and targeting security forces. Responding to the unrest, Mexico President Sheinbaum said there is absolute coordination with the governments of all states. Many states across Mexico have urged residents to remain indoors, while the US Embassy advised American citizens to shelter in safe place. The US State Department had earlier announced a $15 million reward and also confirmed it provided intelligence assistance for the operation. Major US carriers have suspended flights to Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara. Air Canada has also halted operations in the region. India has also issued an advisory urging its nationals in Mexico to shelter in place and monitor local media amid the volatile security situation. Meanwhile, in a parallel anti-narcotics operation, the Mexican Navy seized more than 1 metric ton of drugs in Baja California Sur. The killing of Mexico's most feared drug lord marks not just a tactical victory in the war on drugs, but a pivotal moment in North America's battle against transnational crime and the deadly fentanyl trade. With inputs from Nishchoy Roy, DD India.
On to Europe now. European Union nations are unlikely to reach a consensus on a fresh package of sanctions against Russia. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas has said that continued resistance from Hungary has stalled progress, making an agreement at Monday's meeting of EU foreign ministers highly unlikely. Speaking ahead of the talks, Kallas indicated that divisions within the bloc remain deep despite mounting pressure to tighten measures against Russia over the ongoing war in Ukraine.
We are, of course, doing our utmost to have this sanctions package to push this through, and I've talked to the member states who are also going to, raise this and convince the countries who are blocking, and we are also looking ways how we can do it. But as we have heard some very strong statements from Hungary, that's why I don't really, see that they are going to change this, unfortunately, today, this position that they have.
Meanwhile, Poland has accused Hungary of lacking solidarity with Ukraine, alleging that Budapest is using anti-Kiev rhetoric for electoral advantage.
The thing that shocks me fundamentally is that while Ukraine is defending itself against the might of the Russian army, Hungarians used to understand what it's like. Budapest was invaded, in fact twice in the 20th century, but once by the Red Army. I would have expected a much greater feeling of solidarity from Hungary for Ukraine.
EU lawmakers said on Monday that they would put on hold a key trade deal with the United States after a Supreme Court ruling struck down President Trump's tariffs. European Parliament negotiators will meet later on Monday to formally agree to freeze plans to approve the deal agreed last year. After the court struck down Trump's global tariffs on Friday, the US president announced temporary across-the-board tariffs of 10%, which he then hiked to 15% a day later. The European Commission demanded that the United States should stick to the terms of an EU-US trade deal reached last year. So the US Supreme Court has ruled that President Trump's tariffs against a host of other countries are illegal. It's the end of a policy that had shaken the world and global trade, but the economic fog with the uncertainty is hiking again. Lars Holte is with Deutsche Welle and joins me for more on the story now. Lars, thank you for being with us. What does this development mean for Europe?
Thanks for having me. Yes, what a shock that was for US President Donald Trump, and what an incredibly difficult situation this creates now in Brussels. We have to remember that pretty soon after that so-called Liberation Day, when Trump announced tariffs against pretty much all other countries and trading partners, pretty soon after that, the EU was among the first trading partners to sign a trade agreement with the US. Not a very good one from Brussels' perspective, mind you. It included tariffs on EU exports to the US, but no tariffs or lower tariffs on US exports to Europe. It included the EU's commitment to buy hundreds of billions worth of liquefied natural gas from the US. Many economists in Europe at the time called it a capitulation by the EU. Anyway, this trade deal was supposed to go into effect this week, and now it's on hold. And not just because the Supreme Court has basically taken away the legal basis for Trump's tariffs, but also because the US president reacted with new tariffs of first 10 and then 15% on all countries, which again raised some of the negotiated tariffs and thus went against the trade deal with the EU. So for now, this deal sits on ice with leaders in Brussels trying to sort out what will happen next.
All right. In the meantime, what does it all mean for European companies?
That's one of many questions we don't really have an answer for yet. First of all, some of the importers of European goods have apparently already started legal proceedings trying to get their paid tariffs reimbursed. It is entirely unclear whether there's a legal basis for that, whether the US government has to pay back the tariffs they've already taken in. But on the other hand, between the old tariffs and the new trade deal, there was still a lot of uncertainty for companies who didn't really know how tariffs would fluctuate in the mid and long term. Now we're hearing from some of those companies that with a 15% rate, they actually find themselves in a less uncertain position, which I guess is good news. Most importantly, though, the Trump tariffs have reduced EU exports by approximately 15%. That has cut into revenues and profit here, and it's unclear how much of that can be regained under the new tariff strategy.
All right, thank you very much, Lars Holte there from Deutsche Welle, Berlin. Moving on now, Reserve Bank of India Governor Sanjay Malhotra said at the customary post-budget meeting that interest rate decisions will depend on evolving growth and inflation dynamics, while the central bank will ensure durable liquidity for all markets.
We're taking a decision, meeting by meeting. So what the interest rate decision will be in the next, it will depend on the evolving growth and inflation dynamics for the productive needs of our economy. And I will also like to state that it will be preemptive and it will be proactive. We will not only, in making our assessment of the liquidity requirements, looking into the leakage of currency in circulation, which requires more durable liquidity to be provided.
You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. In a proud moment for Indian cinema, Manipuri language film Boong bags the best children's and family film at the BAFTAs. And Chandigarh's vintage car exhibition celebrates timeless automotive heritage.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. Russian President Vladimir Putin attended a wreath-laying ceremony and awarded servicemen in Moscow on Monday to mark the Defender of the Fatherland Day, a public holiday honoring those serving in the armed forces and military veterans. Putin, Defense Minister Andrei Belousov and military personnel laid flowers at the tomb of the unknown soldier by the Kremlin walls. The annual ceremony comes a day before the 4-year anniversary of the start of Russia's special military operation in Ukraine. In his speech to awarded servicemen, Putin said, Russia was fighting for its future, its independence, for truth and justice. US forces began withdrawing from their largest base in northeastern Syria on Monday. The move is part of a broader crackdown as the US-backed administration in Damascus consolidates its control over the region. Dozens of trucks carrying armored vehicles departed the base at Kasrak in Hazaka province. A full pullout from Kasrak, a key hub for the US-led coalition fighting Islamic State, that would still leave the coalition forces operating from a base in Ramlan near the Iraqi border. Kasrak has served as a central operations hub for the coalition for more than a decade, where US troops partnered with the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces to combat the jihadist group. The 61st session of the UN Human Rights Council kicked off in Geneva on Monday. This session marks the 20th anniversary of the Council amid the ongoing human rights crises, these warnings of an imminent financial collapse and attacks on the multilateral system. Over the next 6 weeks, the states will negotiate resolutions and hold debates on major human rights issues with major implications on the right to freedom of expression. Addressing the opening session, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that human rights are under assault worldwide, citing widespread abuses of international law and devastating civilian suffering in conflicts.
Are under a full-scale attack around the world. The rule of law is being outmuscled by the rule of force. And this assault is not coming from the shadows or by surprise. It is happening in plain sight and often led by those who hold the greatest power. Around the world, human rights are being pushed back deliberately, strategically, and sometimes proudly. A world where mass suffering is excused away, where humans are used as bargaining chips, where international law is treated as a mere inconvenience. Conflicts are multiplying and the impunity has become a contagion. That is not due to a lack of knowledge, tools or institutions. It's the result of political choices. The crisis of respect for human rights does not stand alone. It mirrors and magnifies every other global fracture. Humanitarian needs are exploding while funding collapses.
The BAFTA Film Awards have delivered major wins and a few surprises as well, setting the stage for an intense Oscars race ahead. India too has a reason to celebrate, with a regional film bringing home a top honour. Manipuri language film Boong bagged the best children's and family film at the event. So from sweeping victories to unexpected upsets, the night belonged to bold storytelling. Diptanshu Kashyap has more.
India made its presence felt on the global stage at the BAFTA Film Awards in London, England. The Manipuri language film Boong, directed by Lakshmi Priya Devi, won Best Children's and Family Film, marking a proud moment for Indian regional cinema. Meanwhile, American filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson and his latest comedy thriller One Battle After Another continued their award season dominance, sweeping 6 trophies, including Best Film, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor for Sean Penn. The vampire thriller Sinners picked up 3 major wins: Best Original Screenplay for director Ryan Coogler, Best Supporting Actress for Wunmi Mosaku, and Best Original Score for Ludwig Göransson. The period drama Hamnet was named Outstanding British Film, with Jessie Buckley winning Best Actress. The biggest surprise of the night came in the Best Actor category, where Robert Aramayo triumphed for his role in I Swear, beating award season favorite Timothée Chalamet. In the international race, Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value won Best Film Not in the English Language. Technical honors were shared by films including Frankenstein and F1. It was a night of big wins, unexpected turns, and global storytelling taking center stage, further intensifying the Oscars race. Diptanshu Kashyap for DD India.
On to India's north now, where 3 terrorists have been neutralized in a joint security operation in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar district on Sunday. The operation, codenamed Tarashi-1, was launched following specific intelligence inputs about the presence of 3 Pakistani terrorists in the area. In the ensuing encounter, all 3 were killed. Security forces recovered 2 AK-47 rifles and other warlike stores from the site. Indian Army described the Operation Tarashi-1 as a textbook example of perseverance, clear strategy, meticulous planning, and seamless coordination among Indian forces and security agencies in their continued efforts to counter terrorism in the region.
Of Tarashi is the perfect example of perseverance, clarity of thought, proper planning, the vision which we had, and most importantly, relentless efforts of the months, an integrated approach of each and every force and each and every agency working over here. And most importantly, it is the perfect example of seamless coordination at all levels.
Sweden's world pole vault record holder Mondo Duplantis opened his 2026 campaign in style, clearing a world-leading 6.06 meters at the All-Star Persh indoor meeting. Despite suffering sickness in the days leading up to the event, the Olympic champion still managed the highest clearance in the world so far this year. Duplantis won his 37th consecutive meet dating back to the summer of 2023. He will return to the global stage next month to seek a 4th consecutive World Indoor Championships title in Poland before an outdoor season that will feature the inaugural World Athletics Ultimate Championship in Budapest in September. Argentine Thomas Martin Etcheverry secured a hard-fought win over Chile's Alejandro Tabilo to claim the Rio Open. Etcheverry battled back from a set down to defeat Tabilo in rainy conditions on the clay for his first ATP Tour title. Rain had delayed his semi-final, forcing him to play 2 matches in a single day. The 26-year-old rose to the challenge to secure his first ATP crown after finishing runners-up in 3 previous finals. Etcheverry recorded his 100th tour-level match win during the tournament and has now jumped 18 places to world number 33. A 3-day vintage classic car exhibition was organized in Chandigarh, drawing automobile enthusiasts and families alike. especially at a time when the industry is rapidly shifting towards electric vehicles. Well-maintained cars, heritage vehicles, some nearly a century old, reflected the collectors' dedication to preserving automotive history.
A three-day vintage classic car exhibition in Chandigarh drew automobile enthusiasts and families alike, showcasing a spectacular display of yesteryear cars, some nearly a century old. The collection featured iconic models from brands such as Fiat, Volkswagen, Dodge, Plymouth and Hindustan Motors, offering visitors a glimpse into the evolution of automobiles over the decades. The polished exteriors and well-preserved engines reflected the passion and dedication of collectors who have meticulously maintained these historic vehicles. Visitors described the collection as remarkable, particularly at a time when the automotive industry is rapidly shifting towards electric, battery-powered and hydrogen technologies. Meanwhile, exhibitors highlighted the mounting challenges of securing skilled mechanics and rare spare parts while seeking government support to ease documentation and road registration. The exhibition concluded on Sunday, leaving visitors with a reminder that true automotive charm lies in heritage, dedication, and the enduring passion that keeps these classics on the road.
So with those old cars but their timeless charm, we wind up this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.